Thank you for joining me today in this discussion, again, to emphasize the importance and the simplicity of presence and currency and resilience. We're going to talk about something earth-shattering, revelationary, reading and counting. Reading and counting. I know, that sounds like essentially new worlds and new news, right? But it's not. But reading and counting, hopefully I can tie this in towards the end of this discussion today. This is not for comparison or competition. Because there's no place, as I said before in other episodes, there's no place for that in this resilience that I speak of and with you. But sometimes just an elementary function or purpose, like reading, writing, listening, speaking, observing, communicating, and counting, may seem so below or beneath your intelligence and intellect. Something we tend to discard or ignore in our daily journeys or tasks. This critical effort as reading, writing, listening, counting, as simple or automatic and unworthy of even mentioning or refreshing or maintaining. And yeah, that summary sounds a lot like me. Another example, however, for your consideration today on the construct of resilience. Sometimes the perfect process of resilience that I have written about and hopefully explained adequately in the book, Resilience, the Beauty of Presence. But like with each and every episode or installment that you will encounter in the 820 Enterprise episodes, those revelations, those discussions, those stories, they don't come with flowers or chocolates and gifts of gold. But those former or earlier episodes and this installment today, I always emphasize courage over vanity, or certainty over doubt. But that delicate ratio, I provide that to bolster and deliver an example or an approach for you to deliver your best resilience in this present moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, in this current present moment. Which then leads me into this review of my journey to become the best possible musician and trumpeter in this life. About 10 years ago, maybe a little more, I began this, almost fool's journey or fool's errand to play the trumpet. And not just to start this mission, with optimism and ambition. I started this mission with absolutely no musical background, skill set, or talent. Sure, I got some smarts and degrees and certifications and stuff that I have on the wall or on the shelf that would express or relate some sort of a history of Ming, of some intelligence of some sort. But none of that education, none of that exposure, none of my love for music transferred into my trumpet journey. From the jump, 10 years ago or so, I lacked certain fundamentals and foundation on trying to become a musician and specifically a trumpeter. Like, here's what was missing. Music theory, annotation, breathing, rhythm, phrasing, key signatures, time signatures, melody, rest, tempo, space, and, wait for it, counting. So I often joke with friends and colleagues and fellow good hackers on the golf course and musicians who are also starting out that sometimes and nowadays we tend to forget to listen to each other before we blurt out a knee-jerk response. And we also do that a lot, the reaction part, before carefully listening to and reading what is presented or stated or presented to us. And that's where I conclude this story about counting. Almost a very essential, basic guidance I received and that I summarily rejected from a very extremely talented musician back 10 years ago where I started playing the trumpet. Namely, my Uncle Mike, who unknowingly taught and exhibited the talent of music, engineering, tutorial principles, and just straight up coolness as I witnessed him in the same house where I grew up in Amityville, New York. About 9 years ago, 10 years ago, Uncle Mike told me specifically the importance of counting in music. And in my vast knowledge of music, I decided to dismiss that information as beneath my stature and intelligence. So then, fast forward to now, 10 years later, my very patient and extremely talented human being and musician and teacher, Cesar, not only taught me the absolute importance of counting in music, but also taught me that I couldn't go step one forward until I learned how to count in music. And I still had not incorporated that essential principle into my practice or in my performance of music. Cesar, my current instructor, stipulated that if I do not do this, I cannot achieve the proficiency I set out to accomplish with the trumpet. Ouch! And that's how resilience works, my friends. A very basic element that I ignored 10 years ago has finally started to take hold of my attention, my intention, presence, purpose, message, and how I will communicate through my trumpet or trumpets. I have like 10 of them, but that's for another episode. Like the newly established and silly celebration. You've seen people celebrating their child's graduation from kindergarten. You know what? For right now, let me celebrate my kindergarten graduation. That, yay, as of today, here we are towards the end of 2025, I finally learned how to count in music. To do that, with pen and paper, I use basic mental and physical work to learn something that should drive me, but does drive me now. Music and counting. Who knew? Who knew? Apparently everybody but me from the back of the trumpet class. But I'll keep counting. Remember, not only reading is fundamental, RIF, but counting is fundamental too, CIF. Thanks again. Stay present. Stay current. No matter where you are in this world, please remember, it's always 820.